Today, I'm going to walk you through the single most unfair Facebook ad strategy that you can use right now to reduce your cost per acquisition, increase your return on ad spend, and most importantly, reduce the wasted ad spend in your ad accounts right now. And by the way, this has been refined from my most recent strategies because we have seen better results doing the exact things that I'm going to show you throughout this very video. Consider this your secret weapon. This is the last opportunity you're going to have going into the fourth quarter to take massive advantage against all of your competitors. So I just pulled up two ad accounts, one very small, one very large, so you can see the difference and how this is literally applying to all shapes and sizes of businesses. This is an account that's just running an Advantage Plus campaign. And because they're only running an Advantage Plus campaign, if we go to our breakdowns right here and we click audience segments, we're going to see new audiences, existing customers, and engaged customers all grouped together under the same campaign. They spent $4,600 last month, spent $1,600 on engaged, $1,200 on existing, and $1,700 on new. Let me give you a second example for those that are spending more, that have a lot of campaigns going on. So for this account, over the last 30 days, they spent a total of $161,000. Now, that's a whole lot of money to be making mistakes. When we go to our breakdowns and click audience segments again here, you're going to notice every single campaign has new audiences, engaged audiences, existing audiences. Even if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, every single campaign is sharing all of the cohorts. Now that is what we're going to really dive into. I'm going to explain exactly the setup that we like to use that basically stops this bleed from happening and stops the overspending on engaged and existing audiences. And just to show you guys what I'm really talking about here, if we collapse this entire account into just these three rows, so this is all their campaigns combined right now, look how much they spent on engaged and existing customers. Looking here, we spent $161 total, $112 on new. Okay, that's fine. $34,000 on engaged, $14,000 on existing. At first glance, maybe that's not bad, but here's where it gets crazy. If we scroll all the way to our right and we go to our frequency column, frequency is basically the number of times the same person saw your ad on average. So if you have a 5 frequency, that means the average person saw your ad 5 times over the period that you're looking at. We're looking at the last 30 days. Our engaged customers on average saw our ads 25 times in this account. Existing saw this brand's ads 57 times over the last 30 days on average. That means some people saw their ads hundreds of times over the last month. It means some people saw less, but 57.85 times on average frequency, way too high. And the way that they're set up, there's nothing, I mean nothing, that they can do about it. So every time they want to scale, they keep scaling into engaged and existing audiences, when in reality, they want to actually scale into new audiences because that's what drives the business forward. So as you can see, the bar is very low. Most accounts that I audit run into this exact setup issue, and it causes them to overspend massively on engaged and existing customers that probably would have converted anyway. The key here is that we want to make sure we're orienting our spend mostly to new audiences. This is something that not many people talk about because everyone is used to grouping everything together, going all broad, when in reality, having clear swim lanes in your ad account is so important. Let me show you the exact setup step by step in a blank canvas. Okay, so I've talked about this core strategy 100 times on this exact YouTube channel, but there's one thing that's changed very much in the last just few weeks. So how this core strategy works is that we create clear distinctions between new, engaged, and existing customer cohorts when we are targeting anyone. What this normally looks like is we have our, what I like to call our swim lanes. And our swim lanes are composed of basically just 3 very simple waves. First is new, second is engaged, and then third is retention, aka existing customers. Now the key of this, and this is where everyone gets this wrong, they think that Facebook's going to distribute a good amount to new, a good amount to engaged, and the correct amount to existing. So they think that when you add more money to your ad account, when you go from $1,000 a day to $2,000 a day, they think that it's only going to add a little bit more to engage and a little bit more to existing, and it's going to add most of it to new. But in reality, what actually winds up happening is new and engaged get higher return on ad spends naturally. New and engaged are literally closer to purchasing. They are engaged with the content. They may have added to cart, visited your site, or if they're existing, then they've actually purchased before from you and they might be coming back. Way easier than a completely cold prospect. Here's the important part. What Facebook actually does is it takes your cash and it says, okay, you're already spending so much on new. You're already spending a little bit of that on engaged. You're already spending a smaller portion of that on existing. You're going to double your budget. Now, what it's going to try to do is squeeze as much out of engaged and as much out of existing as possible. So if you double your budget, there's a chance existing and engaged literally double, and your new will also double. Now that sounds fine. Logically, you're like, okay, sounds fine. And I know my squiggles here don't tell the full story. The problem is you don't want engaged and existing to double. Your existing and engaged audiences did not double when you doubled your spend. All that doubled is the amount of impressions that you're getting. And you want all of those impressions to be on new, obviously. So what we actually want here when we double spend, if this is already spending 800, engaged is spending 100, and existing is spending 100, and we double budget, meaning we add $2,000 total, we don't want the distribution to now be 1,600 total. That would be bad. 200 and 200. What we actually want is most of this additional $1,000 to go into new. So what I would expect is I would expect new to more than double. I would expect engaged to maybe increase very slightly, and I would expect existing to maybe increase very slightly. Again, the key here is that Facebook almost never does this. So that's why we have to have clear swim lanes in our ad account. And what does that even mean? What that means is when you're setting up your ad account and you have your prospecting campaign here, you have your retargeting campaign here, and you have your retention campaign here. And that means for the first time, we are putting hard exclusions on each of these pockets. And this is not something I used to always say, but now it absolutely is. So in practice, in the ads manager, what does this look like? This means that when you have your prospecting, your retargeting, your retention, and your scale campaign, that each are excluded from one another. Let me show you my exact exclusions. Inside of our core prospecting campaign, inside of any of our packs, including all our interest groups, if we scroll down to our audience section here, we're going to make sure that we add exclusions. So instead of keeping this fully broad, like I've told you so many times, now we are clicking further limit the reach of our ads, switch the setup. We are going to custom audiences. We are clicking add exclusion, and we are excluding everyone that we're targeting in retargeting and everyone that we're targeting in retention or existing customers. So for these exclusions, I'll show you my setup. Add to cart plus initiate checkout 90. We have our purchase 180 as an exclusion, and then we have our visitor 90 days. These are my clear exclusions. These exclusions now are not going to allow prospecting to do anything but hit our new customers. Now, the next piece here is in the retargeting side. So if we go to our retargeting campaign and we go to our add to cart 90-day campaign, we scroll down to our audience exclusion. Now, I've already jumped ahead here and set up exclusions, but just so you can see, we are now excluding our purchasers 180 days. And then I also have a Klaviyo list in here to exclude anyone from the last 90 days. That is optional. The most important part is just getting this purchase 180 day as an exclusion. And then finally, on your existing customer, AKA your retention based campaign, in this campaign here, I don't have to do any exclusions because we're only targeting our purchased 180 days. Now, the key thing here for all of your targeting is you have to make sure you're not on this recommended setup. And when you're here, you have unselected use as a suggestion. If you do not unselect use as a suggestion, your audience definition will go broad, and this is just going to be used as a suggestion instead of actually a proper inclusion or exclusion. By the way, something very important here. You may have noticed at the beginning of this video, I said that this is a strategy that we started to act on and implement over 3 weeks ago. So if you want the most up-to-date, full, comprehensive understanding of literally everything that I'm doing, I have a huge announcement. We just dropped and opened the doors to my very first cohort of my program. This program is everything that's coming from directly my brain to videos so that you can get a full understanding of how I manage Facebook ads. I feel so confident in this program that this has become the training for my very own team. So if you want it, there's a link down in the description. The doors completely close for the rest of the year on October 1st, and pricing will literally never be this good ever again. Go get it. It's down in the description, and I very much appreciate everyone who watches every single one of these videos. It is only because of you that we can do something as cool as this. Let's get back into this strategy. So now that we have a clear structure with exclusions, everything's going to happen differently now. You're now going to be able to judge your prospecting campaign from your retargeting campaign, from your retention campaign. So let's go back to the larger brand that I showed you at the very beginning here. Imagine if you own this brand and you were spending $14,000 on existing customers, $34,000 on engaged customers, and 112 on new audiences. At first glance, again, not bad. But if you saw your frequencies at 25 and 57 for existing and engaged audiences, you would probably freak out because you'd probably think that you could convert those people way cheaper. And that is the truth. Of course, you can convert those people cheaper. But when you group everything together, you have no choice. You have no freedom to actually choose where your dollars go. The beautiful part about a setup like this with proper exclusions now is that if you want to spend more on prospecting, just put the cash into the budget of the prospecting campaign. If you are low frequency on retargeting and engaged audiences, spend more on retargeting. If existing customers need more or less spend, adjust the budget. You never have to worry about the overlap anymore. This is the strategy that was most common pre-iOS 14.5, and it is fully back, giving you a complete unfair advantage because everyone else is set up the new way, the better way, the broad way, when in reality they're wasting 10 or 20 or 30% of their budget on places they don't even need to spend. Imagine if you took that 30% and pushed it into the place that's most likely to drive new acquisition for you. Your brand can go bonkers in the fourth quarter. And by the way, I've broken some of this stuff down before, but this does not stop with just audience segments. The same philosophy we apply here also goes for age, demographic, landing page, platform, placement, you name it. It all applies in every single breakdown. We go through all of those in the program that I mentioned earlier, which you can get down in the description. But that is going to be it for this video. I am so pumped for everyone to crush it in the fourth quarter. And if you have any questions at all, I'm going to try to do my absolute best over the next month to reply to nearly every single comment. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.